Ironman Maryland 2023 race review, recap, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if people watch these things. I know that I do look for them as I've got a race upcoming. So if you're thinking about doing Ironman Maryland or have signed up for it for next year, here's a little recap for you. The town of Cambridge, Maryland is a great venue for a race. It's a smaller race. I think we only had like 1,200 people, maybe 1,100 people do that race. So it is in a small town on the East Coast. We drove up from South Carolina. It took us like 12 hours total, but that's stopping and eating and all that stuff. I think it's about a 10-hour drive. We rented a house from this lovely family in Wingate, Maryland, or Wingate. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. We were about 40 minutes away from Ironman Village, which is a little bit further than I think ideally I would like, but the house was so amazing. We had 7 guys from Anderson, South Carolina doing the race. So we got there a couple days early, did the normal stuff. Check-in is, easy. There's several people that are selling parking spots there in like their front yard. So for $30, we had in and out parking for the whole weekend. 2 blocks from transition and about a half a mile from the Ironman Village. So her name was Bobby, Bobbi. Well worth it. That was super, super easy. Friday, we checked the bikes in. Check-in Thursday, turn in our bikes Friday and all that, all the normal stuff. Race morning. Now, Hurricane Lee was coming into town. Well, not into town. It was threatening the east coast of the U.S. It's way out in the ocean, but it was still causing some wind, some waves. And I knew for about 10 days or maybe a week that was going to be a problem. Nobody else seemed to be worried about it too bad, but I just had a feeling that was going to be a problem, and it was. So it was terribly windy the couple of days leading up to the race. Race day was no different. When we got to T1, we were set up, getting ready. We were in line to swim. They announced over the microphone that the swim was going to be cut short. It was too dangerous. It was a stacked tide. So the wind was going this way, the current was going this way, and they said we would be like trying to swim against a moving escalator the wrong way. And, a couple of people died a couple of weeks ago in Ireland, and just out of an abundance of caution, they shortened the swim, which it sucked for first-timers. Me, it was my 4th one. I was like, great. Everybody, you're still an Ironman. You do the course that's presented to you, but a little disheartening. But after we got out of the water, we were super happy that it was cut short, and I couldn't imagine having swam the full distance with that chop out there. It was really, really bad. Easy, quick swim, got out, and now it's on to the bike. The bike travels south. It's a 2-loop bike course from Cambridge, and it goes south really near my house in Wingate, through a wildlife refuge, a Blackwater or something. I can't really remember what the name of it was, but it was pretty. It was just coastal, kind of marshlands. You did 2 big loops and then a little back into town. There was wind the entire bike, so I don't know if that's common or not, if it was just the hurricane, but there was a 15-mile-an-hour wind the entire bike. The course is pancake flat, and it wasn't too hot either. I would have normally ridden that course at 21 miles an hour, and I was lucky to get out of there at 18.4 miles an hour, so it had a major impact. Didn't seem to bother the pros that were zipping by me at 27 miles an hour. It certainly affected most age groupers and all of us that came from South Carolina. It got the better of us. I was feeling a little just sick, nauseated, a little bit at the end of the bike. And a bike usually doesn't touch me. Matter of fact, I would say a bike never touches me. I could bike 100 miles without any issue, but that got the better of me. I wasn't feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I just felt weak. Got off the bike, glad to get off the bike, and then went out for the marathon. The marathon is a 3.5 loop course. It's pancake flat. I don't really have any complaints about the run. You go from the park, if you can imagine, this is a peninsula like this, and the water's out here. Transition is where my fingers meet, and then we run 2.5 miles one way, and 1.5 mile the other way and back. So a 5 mile and a 3 mile loop, and we always met back at the park. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I didn't have a great time. I was fatigued. I'll tell you this: the only negative about the run is they use on the longer loop, on the 5 mile out and back, they use hose water for all the aid stations, and it tasted like garbage. It was just that plastic, just nasty water. And I don't usually complain about water. The other side, which went into town, near the finish line, which, by the way, you have to pass 3 times before you get to turn into it, was great. All the usual stuff at the aid stations, etc. One interesting thing about Maryland is when you finish one of the laps, you get a certain color bracelet. This is not it, but you got like a red, a yellow, and a black bracelet to let you know what lap you were on, so people can, I don't know if you would get lost or if you would lose count. I don't know why they did that, but it didn't bother me. I got that last bracelet and went. Once you get that last bracelet, you've got about 1.5 miles to go, and then about a 1/2 mile back to the finish line. And then we were done. And it was a good finish line. The lady that replaced Mike Riley for this race, I don't know if she is the voice of Ironman or not, was phenomenal. And I can't remember her name, although I did send her a message on Facebook. She was great. The red carpet was very short. So if you've done Ironman Texas, for example, that's a long red carpet. It's a big finish. Maryland's not like that. It finishes right at Ironman Village, right on the water, right at the lighthouse, and it's very short. But it was good. It was good. It was emotional. All of those things. And then we went back to the house, slept for about 7 hours, and drove 11 hours home. Would I do it again? I don't know. I've done Ironman Texas twice, so I'm not opposed to going back to the same race. It was just a long drive, and that wind really, and I'm reading that this wasn't the only year that wind was out there on the bike, and it seemed to be a headwind the entire time. So it was a little discouraging. I don't know if it exists, but I'm in search of like a fair, I'm using that word very lightly, I want a fair Ironman race. And I know it's an Ironman that's supposed to be hard, and maybe it doesn't even exist, but every Ironman I've done seems to have something going wrong, like terrible winds, or the water is 58 degrees in Arizona, blah, blah. I think on a calm wind day, and if the temperature is right, the temperature was only about 80 for us, so the temperature wasn't bad, that could be a very fast course. One of our guys was 5th in his age group for his first triathlon ever, much less Ironman. So it's a fast course, but the wind and all that really played into a factor. If you're thinking about Ironman Maryland, I would suggest it. Have fun, enjoy. I'm not positive I'll go back, but never say never. See you guys.